Hi guys, today for science we're going to be talking about the animal life cycles. Um, Before we start, I want to first review the question from last week. So remember, the answer was not all plants will inherit the same amount of leaves. So if you look at this picture, not all these plants won't have the same amount of leaves. They'll have the same shape, but not the same amount of leaves. And I know some of us did not know what tendrils were, so I just went ahead and put a picture here of the tendrils. And again, it's just like the way the plant grows and the shape of the stem. So again, if the offspring, the baby plant will look the same as the adult plant. So again, tendrils are inherited, the amount of leaves are not inherited. So, just a quick review about the plant life cycle also from last week. Remember, the plants also have a life cycle. From the fruit, we get, or even for the flower, we get a seed. And then, for example, this tomato plant cycle, you have the seed inside the tomato, you go and plant that seed, and then it grows into a young plant. That young plant keeps growing into a mature plant and then grows into an adult plant where you start getting your flowers. And then from that flower, you get your fruit. And then from that fruit, you get your seed. And then it just keeps going around and around. So this plant cycle is going to be very, very similar to the animal life cycle. There's just going to be a small difference. And you will be able to see the difference when you're looking at the pictures. At the end of the video, you should be able to tell me the difference between two animal life cycles, and that will be one of your questions this week. So one of the difference is in the animal life cycle is the stages. So there's two groups. One group of animals will have 4 stages, which is called a complete metamorphosis. And then there's another group of animals that will have, or insects that will have 3 stages, which we will see on the next slide. So, for example, this animal is the ant life cycle. So, as you notice, there is a huge difference from the egg all the way around to the adult. So, this is a complete metamorphosis because, again, you see a completely different insect or animal at the end. From the baby all the way to the adult, you see a complete difference. So these insects have 4 stages in their life cycle. So complete metamorphosis will have the egg stage, will have a larva stage where they usually look like worms. They will have a pupa stage and the adult, where usually they will have wings. The other group is the 3 stages, which is the incomplete metamorphosis. So, real quick, just looking at the picture, from the egg all the way to the adult, there is no difference. It looks the same. If you can see, the baby, the young one, looks very, very similar all the way to the adult. So, there is no difference. So, we will call this an incomplete metamorphosis. And again, it only has 3 stages. So they do not have a pupa stage. So as you can see in the picture, there is no pupa stage. The young looks like the adult. Again, the young one, the baby insect, looks the same like the adult. There is no difference. These insects have 3 stages in their life cycle. Again, we can see the egg stage. So this insect grew out of an egg. But then it only goes through a nymph stage, which is the young stage, and then it grows into adult, which again, usually the adult stage, they grow their wings. So again, this is incomplete because there is no difference. Young the young one looks just like the adult. So let's look at a few life cycles. So this one right here is a butterfly life cycle. Looking at the picture, I can already see an egg stage, a larva stage, and then I can already see a big difference from the young one, from egg and young one to the adult. So that already tells me that's a complete metamorphosis, like a complete change. So looking at the butterfly life cycle, the adults lay eggs, the eggs hatch and offspring emerge. They grow into the larva stage. The larva, remember, is also called the caterpillar. Then the caterpillar grows into a pupa, which is a chrysalis. And then the adult comes out of the chrysalis and it grows into adult. So again, this is a complete difference, which is a complete metamorphosis. Then we see the cricket life cycle. In this life cycle, I can already see 3 stages. So remember, when it's 3 stages, it's an incomplete. Also, an incomplete stage or incomplete metamorphosis is where the young looks just like the adult. So as you can see, there's the egg, but then there's the young, which is a nymph, and then there's the adult. There is no difference. So this is an incomplete metamorphosis. And again, there's only 3 stages. So again, the nymph looks like a tiny adult, but they don't have the wings. And as the nymph grows larger, it molts. Molting means to shed its hard outer skeleton. And then after several molts, the insect now has wings and reaches its adult stage. So again, this is an example of an incomplete metamorphosis. Then we have the darkling beetle life cycle. As I see the life cycle, I can already see an egg stage, a larva stage, just like the butterfly, the pupa stage, and the adult. I can already see there's 4 stages. I also notice a complete change from the egg to the larva to the pupa to the adult. So that already tells me this is a complete metamorphosis. So again, darkling beetle has an egg stage, which is a larva. I'm sorry, eggs hatch and offspring emerge, and they grow into a larva. The larva for the darkling beetle is also called a mealworm. So the larva is also a mealworm. The mealworm, which is the larva, grows into a pupa, and then the pupa is the inactive non-feeding stage. During this stage, the growing larva transforms into an adult. So again, this is a complete change, a complete metamorphosis, and it has 4 stages. And the young does not look like the adult. Looking at the frog life cycle, I can see the egg stage, the tadpole with legs, the froglet, which has a tail but now has legs, and then the adult. I can already see there's 4 stages here. I can already see a complete change, which means a complete metamorphosis. I can already see that the young frog does not look like the adult. That is also another thing that can tell me that is a complete metamorphosis. So again, the adults lay eggs. The eggs hatch into tadpoles. It grows. The young frog's tail becomes shorter and it begins to grow legs. The adult frog has no tail but has legs. And the adult and the offspring do not resemble each other. That means they don't look like each other. So again, on your science question for this week, you're actually going to be comparing the cricket life cycle and the darkling beetle cycle. So again, please make sure you're listening to my videos. Make sure if you need to go back and watch it, make sure you watch it. If you have any questions, please go ahead and leave me comments on Google Classroom or send me a message on Remind.